What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Uncomfortable Chat. I'm your host, Steve Wheatcroft. I know I promised y'all we are going to have Dr. Bob Rotella on this week, but in order of Ravens-Steelers week, and my Pittsburgh Steelers coming up with a big W against the old Baltimore Ravens, we're going to flip-flop episodes, and I'm going to bring you guys the two-time Super Bowl champion, Ben Roethlisberger, this week. Great interview with Ben. He and I have been friends for 8 or 10 years now, and played a little golf together. I even caddied for Ben down at the Bay Hill Pro-Am, which we'll get into. It's a great little story. But I hope you guys will enjoy this interview. For those of you watching along on YouTube, I'm sure you can tell I'm not in my normal office. We're in a hotel room right now up in Savannah. So the deal is, if you make more than 150 cuts on the PGA Tour and on the Korn Ferry Tour combined, you become what's called a veteran member of the Korn Ferry Tour. The only caveat is that you have to be actively trying to play, which I am not. You have to play 5 events a year, or you have to sign up for the PGA Tour Q School once every 2 years. That's why I'm here. So I don't play much golf. I play golf about, I probably played 3 rounds of golf in the last month. I don't practice, which is very evident by the score I shot today. I had very low expectations coming in here. With all the stuff I've been through in the last year, the last thing I'm going to do is stress out about golf when I'm not playing and practicing. But yeah, the goal this week is to not finish last. These guys are so good, man. You don't get to see a lot of them. The 2 guys I played with today play in Latin America. So you're not going to know the names, but my God, professional golf is so good at all the levels. And it doesn't help when you're 46 years old and carry a driver about 240 yards when everyone's hitting it 305 in the air. So, I spent the day playing about 50 to 60 yards behind everybody in my group. But, hey, man, like I told everybody else, we're having fun. That's all that matters. I can't remember the last time I actually had fun playing golf in a tournament atmosphere, and that's what we're going to do this week. I don't care if I shoot 4 rounds of 90 and go home. Man, it's all about just having fun this week. So, and try to beat somebody. My kid said I have to try to beat somebody, so that's the plan. But anyway, without further ado, I give you guys Mr. Ben Roethlisberger. All righty, 3, 2, 1, let's roll. I now want to welcome on a very special guest. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has the 5th most passing yards in NFL history. He carried the city of Pittsburgh for 18 years on his back and now carries a single-digit handicap on the golf course. Loving husband to Ashley and a father to Benjamin, Bailey, and Bodie. Welcome to the pod, Mr. Ben Roethlisberger. How we doing, brother?
I'm good, but you're not supposed to tell people about my handicap.
No. I've been a sucker to that handicap before. I need the world to know about it.
Oh man.
Where are we at these days? How low are you?
Like 2.
Okay, that's good. We're about playing straight up then. You hit it 100 yards by me and probably try to play the up tees. So
not anymore. I've realized as I've gotten older in the golf world, and like having my own back issues. Like back issues are real when it comes to like life, but golf specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized like why try and like who cares if I hit a pitching wedge 150 yards anymore? It's okay to hit a 135-yard pitching wedge. Like it just the driver doesn't need to go 300 every time. Just put it in the fairway, and fairways and greens are a lot better than all the other stuff. So
believe me, take it from a guy who hit it 240 and straight down the middle all the time. I've had a nice little career doing that by making putts and getting up and down from everywhere and pissing all the other guys off.
Boring golf.
Yes. Something we said for boring golf. That's usually when the handicap goes down.
Yep, for sure.
So, well, nice. Well, I've got to start out with the obvious question here. 7-2, sitting on top of the AFC North. How are we feeling about our Steelers?
A lot better after last week.
Mhm.
I knew that Washington game was going to be a tester. Kind of go in and see. You play the two New York teams the week before the bye. Not, what are you talking about? You're not really talking about much of a level of competition there.
Yep.
So this is going to be going on the road, facing a good football team that's probably trying to kind of figure out where they are too.
Yep.
With a young quarterback, and I think what you saw was a team that in the Pittsburgh Steelers that is one of the most complete teams in the NFL right now. The defense is obviously one of the best in the business right now. We know what you're getting there. I think we have I guess I shouldn't say an underrated special teams, but every week the special teams are doing something. Blocking punts, scoring on kickoffs. This week we had an awesome fake punt opportunity that actually was that the guy didn't catch the ball, but that's the only reason the game was even close is because of that play.
Yeah.
Like if they convert that, they go down, and then I think Russell Wilson, what he's doing with his offense, is taking it to another level. So obviously Baltimore this week would be huge, but I think it's this is I like where Pittsburgh's sitting right now.
Yeah, I agree too. I didn't know how to go into the year. I always go in thinking we're going to win, 15 games. That's just who I am. Growing up in Pittsburgh, you get brainwashed early, obviously. And this year, I just didn't know what to expect, man. You got two quarterbacks in there. We don't know which one's going to start. We don't know who's going to be healthy, who's not going to be healthy. But it's nice to see all the boys healthy out there playing hard. And hopefully Highsmith's back sooner than later. And
sooner, yeah.
But
it's going to be fun to watch them.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited. But now, I want to start the podcast by addressing the elephant in the room. So there are some nasty rumors flying around about you that I want to get your take on.
Okay.
So rumor has it that retirement has been so tough on you financially that you've turned to caddying part-time on the U.S. Kids Golf Tour. Do you care to comment on these rumors?
Yeah, I felt like I've done an amazing job. My caddying duties are up for hire right now because my player's not paying real well. That'd be my son. we were playing a tournament in Myrtle Beach, a drip series, Tar Heel Golf, and he shoots. He goes 600 on the first round, or 400 on the first round. He goes in back-to-back holes. He chips in from the fairway for eagle, or like 100, like 40, 50 yards out. He follows it up with an eagle on a par 5, pars the par 3, and then chips in for birdie on the number 9. I'm like, anybody else want this caddy?
No
Anyone else
kidding.
in this group want the caddy?
He's making it easy on you.
Just yeah. But no, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. It's definitely it tests. He's 11. He's about to be 12 on Friday. He'll be 12 this next week, and it definitely tests you as we have a great relationship. But when you get out there and you're doing the back and forth, it's like, okay, would you like me just to not say anything? Yeah, don't say anything, Dad. And as soon as you don't say something, why don't you tell me something? And I'm like, dude, what do you? And so definitely there's some give and take, some butting of heads. But at the end of the day, I just keep telling him, I don't care what you shoot, how you score. It's how you represent yourself, how you represent your faith, your last name. That's what I care about. I don't care how many birdies or bogeys. I could care less. It's about going out and having fun and representing yourself. And so that's at the end of the day what is most important. But it's hard for an 11-year-old to always think about that. But it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I was talking with my best friend last night. He grew up in Pittsburgh as well, and he has a 10-year-old son that plays on the U.S. Kids, and they went through the same conversation. I guess he was leading a big tournament up in South Carolina, like the point standing going into the last one of the year, and got off to a terrible start, made a couple doubles and a bogey, to start. And he's like, I'm finished, I'm done. And Brandon, my friend, had to have the same conversation with him on the way home, and Grant turned it around and played hard the rest of the time and ended up winning the season-long thing. But it was the same thing of like, yeah, you just need to, respect the name and respect, what you're doing out there. And, that's the big thing. You want to be a better human being when, walking off the golf course than when you walked on.
For sure. I want to, represent yourself, because you see so many of these kids that just like, they miss a putt, their dad gets on them, whatever it is, and they just totally become like, they melt down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, and he'll see it and he'll be like, boy, I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, then don't do that. And so when you start to hit the fan or things aren't going your way, then remember what you just told me, remember what you said. And so he does a pretty good job. I keep just reminding him, golf is such a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. Like you're 11 years old, you're about to be 12. Like no one, like there are a lot of I've gotten into this world a little bit. When I went to my first tournament this year with these kids, like there's a lot of parents that are crazy.
Yes.
Psycho. And it makes the kids like, I'm watching dads put their kids' ball down and line it up for them. Like how is the kid like? So what happens if you're not there? How does the kid play? And yeah, he's a good golfer, but if you're telling him every single thing, what happens when he doesn't have that? And
Yep.
so I'm getting into this world. I've made some really good friends that have been really helpful, but you start realizing that like at 10, 11 years old, they care about like their world rankings.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, why do we care about world rankings at 10, 11? You start talking like, okay, in like high school and maybe like because you're going to go to college, but I don't know. Maybe I'm naive to this world, but like I don't know many colleges that are recruiting 11-year-olds because they're ranked in the top 5 in the world. Maybe they are. I don't know, but
No,
I'm just
I can tell you
trying to
they're
have fun with
not.
it.
Yeah, one of my good friends here in Jacksonville, his name is Miles Russell. He's a 15-year-old phenom. He's actually playing in the PGA Tour event this week. Weighs 117 pounds and
Is
swings at
he from
100.
Virginia?
He played for North Carolina last year, 2 years ago in that U.S. Kids Golf. His
Okay,
family had a
yeah, I
house
think
up
I've
there in
heard of him.
Pinehurst, and so that was his address. But yeah, he lives down here
Yeah.
in Jacksonville. Hopefully, I'm not getting in trouble here with the where he's living, but yeah, his we were talking a couple of weeks ago when we played about endorsement deals and how insane it's gotten out there for. I mean, he's 15 and he's on staff with TaylorMade, he's on staff with Nike, he's got Liberty National on the sleeve, he's got he's 15. And granted, he's a great player, and there's a reason he's getting PGA Tour events. But yeah, watching to your point, watching some of these parents overreact and the way they treat their kids on the golf course, you'd think it was the first round at Augusta. And
Yeah, no kidding.
I recorded a podcast yesterday with Dr. Bob Rotella. I don't know if you've read any of his books or not. Famous sports psychologist. I mean, he's the godfather of sports psychology in the golf world. But I'll have to text it to you. But it's one of the greatest podcasts I've ever heard. And
that's cool.
It is just on it, and a lot of it is on your parenting and how you treat the kids and how they should be viewing everything. It's awesome. So
that's cool.
It kind of leads into my next question. So being a professional athlete at the highest level, those individuals usually have a strong work ethic and a competitive nature. I've got a 10-year-old who plays travel baseball, 8-year-old doing competitive gymnastics, and I often struggle on how to support them as a father and also teach them to be as good as they can be. That being said, have you been able to translate anything from your football career into your teachings to your kids?
It's tough. We have talks with all three. So all three of my kids play different sports. I'm a big believer in not like specializing in one sport.
Yes.
I played 3 all the way through high school. And most of my NFL teammates, I know football's not a specialized sport, so it's a little different, but like, none of my NFL teammates played one, like they didn't specialize in football or one sport. It's always multiple sports because to me, I reiterate to my boy especially, but to my daughter, because she's in 2 of them right now, but it's like the reason that I love 3 sports for multiple reasons. One, I think each one made me better at the other. Right. I played football, basketball, and baseball were my 3 main sports. So each one gave me something that I could use in another sport. And I'm going to go through every little thing, but you know what I'm saying. I said the other great thing about playing multiple sports is it made me miss the other sports. It made me want to do the other sports. It made me want to practice and get better at that sport. So like, I'm playing basketball. Basketball's still my first love. Like I love basketball. Maybe after golf now, but of my sports, like, and so when it was time for basketball season, I was so like, man, I want to get so good at basketball. And then it's like, okay, basketball season's over, and I could have kept like playing travel ball, but it's like, nope, now it's time to go do baseball. And I'm like, I missed baseball so much. I can't wait to get out there. And now baseball is my favorite sport. And then now it's time for football. And so it made you want to like during that season go be the best I could be. And I know some people would argue, well, then if you loved basketball so much, you could have played during the season, then went and did had a private coach, and at the time we didn't have private coaches or afforded, but you know what I'm saying, and have the time. But when are you ever missing it? If you're doing it all the time, when are you missing it? And that's when burnout happens. That's when these kids are like, man, I don't want to do it, and then their parents are like, no, you're going to do it, and then it's like, okay, is it the kid that wants to do it, or is the parent living through the kid? What does that look like? Like when my son, for instance, on the golf course, we're out there and I'm talking to the kids as a caddy. And I'm like, hey, young man that he's playing, I'm like, what sports do you play? What do you mean? I only play golf. I'm like, you're 11 years old. You don't play anything else? And I actually got one of the kids who's actually pretty well known in the golf world. He was like, I actually play football and golf. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I'm like, well, what's your favorite sport? Kind of joking with him. And he looks at his dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, what's your favorite sport, bud? And he was like, kind of looking at me like football. And I'm like, awesome. Like, good for you. Like, you can still do both, And so I know it's a long-winded answer to what you asked me, but I think my kids sometimes they have goals. Like my son wants to try and get to worlds in golf, or he wants to try and do these things. But you can have those goals and set goals, but you also have to work to those goals, right? You can't just say, I want to be the best, or I want to do this, or I want to win this tournament. You have to put the work in to do it too. It's not going to just happen. Now,
Yeah.
there was this big thing about manifesting. We're going to manifest things that happen. No, you don't manifest things happen. You work to make them happen, or God's plan is going to happen. It's not manifesting things. Like I'm not going to just think in my head, I'm going to go win the Masters.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger right now is going to win the Masters. I can't just think about it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And even like work, but you have to put the work in. So that's something that I've really tried to work with them on, is that because I had the drive like to want to be the best. And those are the days, like I tell my kids, like, hey, you know what? Today you're about to go to my daughter volleyball. She goes, yeah, I'm not feeling it today. I'm like, you know what? This is the day that champions are made. The days that you're not feeling it, the days that you don't want to be there, are the days that regular people go home. Champions say, okay, I'm going to push through it, and I'm going to find a way today to be better. Like, how can I get better today on a day when I don't feel good? I don't want to be here. I'm tired, whatever it is. Those are championship days. And so that's what I try and push in the kids. Like, listen, today's a championship day. You got to go do it. And
Yeah.
I'll never make them, but I mean, if
Yeah.
you have a lesson, you got to do it. That's what we do. But today's a day that I think that they're at a young age, they're understanding, but that's something that I want them to understand, that not every day is going to be perfect. I had days where I didn't want to get up in the morning and go work out.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? Like, this is the last thing I do, but it's like, man, if I want to go get a Lombardi or do something like that, I got to do it.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect answer. And it's funny, every athlete that I've had on here speaks to the importance of playing multiple sports. And I'm a big, big, big believer in that as well. I
No
played
doubt.
baseball, golf, football, basketball. I skied. I played volleyball during the weeks for fun. I mean, I just did anything
Yeah.
sports related that I could do. And I think a lot of the best athletes in the world all played multiple sports, but now we've come into this age where it's a specialization of, I have to be a golfer. I have to do it year round. I have to move to go play. I have to go to these academies where, instead of going to a regular school. And I mean, that was my favorite, my answer to all the dads that would be like, hey, look, I've got a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old that's really, really good at golf. What do I need to do to get them to the next level? And I was like, sign them up for baseball.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you don't understand. He's really, really good. I'm like, soccer? Does he like soccer? Do you want to play soccer? Like,
Yeah.
sign him up for another sport. Yeah, sign him up for another sport. That'll make him better at golf. That'll make him hungrier to play golf. That'll make him want to go practice.
That's what my son's doing. Like, he's doing basketball, because that's like that to me. That's a perfect complement sport, right? Basketball's a winner up here in Pittsburgh. You know what it is.
Yeah.
We're not golfing in the winter.
Yeah, no.
And if we get a halfway decent day, it's like he'll be like, Dad, can we go hit balls? Like, sure, that's cool, you can do that. But he didn't. He's like, this year he was like, I'm not playing basketball, Dad. I'm like, yes, you are. And now he's like, I love it. Like, I don't want to go play golf today. I'm like, good. Like, and that's fine. I have no problem. Go enjoy basketball.
Yeah,
I'll be just fine.
No, I agree. Great answer. I want to take a quick minute to thank our first ever sponsor at the Uncomfortable Chat, and that's Slipstream IT, a company redefining IT for life sciences. At Slipstream, they partner with a purpose and believe in the power of technology and the life sciences to enable people to live healthier, more fulfilling lives. You can learn more about Slipstream at slipstream-it.com. And now back to Big Ben. I want to tell our listeners a story that I found fascinating. So I was playing on the PGA Tour in maybe 2017, 16, something like that. And you sent me a text message, said, hey, I'm coming down to Bay Hill. I'm going to play in the Pro-Am on Wednesday. Let's play some golf on Tuesday. And I said, well, I'm not in the event, but I'll come down. I wasn't getting in any of the tournaments at the time anyway. So we played Alworth on a Tuesday, and I asked you who was caddying for you the next day. And you said, I don't have somebody. I'm going to go get somebody. And I said, you know what? They were nice enough to give me a sponsor exemption into the tournament last year. I'll come out. I'll caddy for you. And you agreed. And we went out there to the range and we hit balls for hours and hours. And I was like, what time you want to be there? Tee time's 12:30. You're like 9:00 or something ridiculous. I'm like, you're going to hit balls that long? But I mean, I played golf with you the day before. You were pumping it. You're playing great at Alworth. And then we got to the range. You're hitting it great. You're chipping it great. You're putting it great. And it's finally time to go to the tee. And we go walking across the putting green, and I saw your wife, Ashley, over by the ropes. I said, you ready to go, Ashley? And she goes, I'm better than he is. I said, what? She's like, I've never seen him like this. He's a nervous mess right now. I said, no, he's not. I've been with him for the last 2.5 hours. He's fine. She's like, I'm telling you right now, he's a nervous wreck. So you were signing autographs the whole way to the first tee, and I just walked over there. And ironically enough, Michael Collins, who we just talked about, was over there on the tee waiting for you as well. And Sam Saunders was our pro, and he goes back to his tee, and now I'm just watching you because I'm like, am I missing something here? And you weren't moving, man. I handed you the driver, and you just stood there, and you were looking around, and I remember nudging you, and I go, bro, you all right? You good? And you're like, I can't feel my freaking legs. Your exact words. I can't feel my freaking legs. And I was like, you're joking, right? No, dude, I cannot feel my legs. And you got up on the first tee and you hit a snap hook that might still be going left if that tree wasn't there. And you hadn't hit a ball left in 2 days. And
a little quick on that little release.
a little quick. I was blown away that a 2-time Super Bowl quarterback, you've been in the hottest spots of all time in the NFL. You were that nervous on the first tee of a Wednesday Pro-Am. Can you kind of explain the nerve, what those nerves felt like, and
listen,
how it felt to play that day?
Football's what I do. That's what God blessed me to be really good at. And so there's no nerves when you get out there. I don't care who's rushing me. I don't care the stage. Like, that's the easy part, getting up and hitting that little white ball. I remember I played in a Pro-Am. That's Bay Hill. The Honda's not the Bay Hill. That's different. Honda's a different one, right?
Yeah, Honda's the one down in Palm Beach.
Okay, so I played in that one time. And I remember, that's the one where the first hole, like, probably not a driver hole because there's water on the left?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm with my buddy and I'm getting ready to go, and I'm going to hit like a hybrid or something. And he goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not hitting driver. Like, who knows where it's going to go? He goes, yeah, but have you ever hoselled a driver? I'm like, good point. I'm hitting driver.
Good point.
But it's like you get over and it's just like, this isn't what I mean, I love golfing. Like, I love it and you can do it, but you get out there and it's just a different ball game. And so I mean, I always get nervous, whether it's a Pro-Am which I don't do a lot of those, or if I'm playing in like some sort of event, the Crew Cup event, anything like that, where there's just people.
Yep.
And you're just like, man, it's just different. It's not what I do. And so it absolutely makes you nervous. I tried to do a good job of hiding it. Obviously, I did a good job of hiding it from my caddy.
You did.
Only my wife knew. But once you got the first tee and there's not as many people around, I'm fine.
Yeah, it was, and I'll give you some credit here. That was one of the wildest rounds of golf I'd ever seen. You make double on the first, you birdie 2, you bogey 3, you birdie 4, 5, 6, you bogeyed 7. Like, you didn't make a par till like 8 or 9.
We're gonna make a par today? I don't know.
And I remember you drove 13, which was like a 295-yard carry over water, and you're like, yeah, I can get this. And I was like, it's impossible. And sure enough, you landed on the front edge and kept it on the green, 2-putted. You birdied 6 of the first 13 holes, and I think we're still like 6 over par or something crazy.
Ridiculous. That's me.
One of the more wild rounds of golf I've ever seen, but I had a blast out there with you. It was nice being on that side of it and just seeing a little different side of Ben Roethlisberger, actually getting nervous.
That's right. Still do.
Yeah, I love it, man. So you obviously played against some of the best defensive players to ever play the game. Can you give me maybe 5 names of guys that you hated the game plan for and play against?
Well, I was fortunate to play against some of the best defenders that I ever saw every day in practice. Troy Polamalu was, I mean, he's Troy. He's Hall of Famer. He is what he is. I mean, I went against him every single day in practice. Like, people don't realize a lot of times when you're in there during the season, you don't practice ones-on-ones, right? You don't practice one offense versus one defense. There's a card defense, card offense, so that you can get the right reps, the right looks.
Yep.
And sure enough, it never failed. Once a week at least, I'd be lining up in like 7-on-7. And now it's like, this is my drill. I get to like really work. There's no rush. There's no lineman in front of you that you have to worry about. You just see the passing picture, right? 7-on-7 was one of my favorite times. Not that because you don't get hit in practice, but just because you can visualize all the passes. Yep. And sure enough, I'd break the huddle and I look, and I'm like, Troy, what are you doing back there? And sure enough, Troy's playing safety. And I'm like, Troy, really? He goes, I'm just getting extra work, Ben. I'm like, fine. What did I say to Troy? Like, Troy, fine. And sure enough, Troy would be doing his own thing. He's like, you're supposed to follow exactly what the card says. And it's set up for the offense to succeed, right? You draw a play against the perfect defense, so you're going to succeed. Troy'd be like, he's supposed to be single high. He'd be running over here, he'd be running over there. I'm like, Troy, come on. And trying to intercept the balls. And so I had to face him every day, but him and James Harrison, guys, I got to face TJ Watt recently towards the latter part of my career, guys that are just game wreckers. But if you're talking about other opponents, players I had to play, One of the first one that comes to mind is Ed Reed. Ed and Troy were so similar, in the sense that like you would break the huddle and you'd see first thing. Okay, let me find Ed. I have to know where Ed is. Okay, Ed's back in the safety. He's 20 yards deep on the left hash. Okay, I'm kind of looking around, make sure things go. I start my cadence, and I'm like, oh wait, where's Ed? Like Ed, now Ed's over here to the right, but he's only 10 yards deep. Like, okay, is he blitzing? Now you start thinking, what's he doing? Okay, why is he over here? And then maybe they make it audible. And then you start your cadence again. And then now it's like, now where's Ed now? Like now he's over here on the line of scrimmage. Like and so he just was never where you thought he was going to be. And then in the snap of the ball, you're like, he's blitzing. Now all of a sudden he's back there at the middle of the field intercepting a ball. So just the mind games, the ability to be all over the place. Because I was thinking about the Baltimore game this week, like, and then you had Ray Lewis on that team. You had Haloti Ngata, Terrell Suggs, Bart Scott. You had guys on that team that I was playing as a rookie in my first couple of years in the league. It was like I had no business being on the field with those guys. But Ed, Ray was the same way. Ray Lewis was so smart in the game. Like he was a quarterback over there. He would get guys lined up. He would diagnose things. I'd audible or call something, and he'd be calling it out. We'd break the huddle, and he'd be like, "Draw play over here." Like, how does he know a draw's coming? Or like, and it's just like if he guessed, he just the educated guess. But going against those two guys was something else. Sean Taylor, when he was at Washington, was just like the same thing, but he would try and hurt you. Like he was a smart player, was all over the field, but when he came down to hit you, you better get down quick. And he played the game, and all those guys played the game before they were really overly protecting quarterbacks. Now you can't even breathe on a quarterback without getting some sort of a penalty. Terrell Suggs, a guy that would intercept screens and tip it in the air and intercept it. And like, what are we doing? Like that's not supposed to be possible for a defensive end, outside linebacker. So just a few guys off the top of my head that were just, man, hard to go against.
Yeah, no, it's kind of the names I thought I was going to hear from you, and especially on Ravens week. So it just makes that rivalry that much better. And Troy was one of those guys as a fan watching. Thank God he's on my team because I can't imagine going against him. And what was it? Pat McAfee, who I know had that story about the fake field goal or whatever it is. They studied this thing forever, and he wasn't supposed to be in like the C gap or something like that. And all of a sudden they call the play because they know he's not going to be there. And he's like, the hell's Troy doing in the C gap? Why is he here? Like he's never in the C gap. And they just audibled quickly to the kick because everybody's panicking. He's like, he's not supposed to be there. Never there.
Troy was the same way. Troy was just like Ed, where he would be all like, Troy was so funny because Troy, when he played with in order for Troy, Troy was going to be great no matter who his other safety was, right? But one of the things that made Troy so great was like his other safeties, like Ryan Clark, Chris Hope, guys like that were like they had to cover. Like Troy would tell guys, "I see something, cover me." And the other safety's like, what is it? What does that mean? Like and then you see Troy's gone. And it's like, what do I have to do? So like you got to give those guys credit because they've got to now be able to, and sure enough, Troy's flying over here. He's jumping over the line to tackle a guy. He's one-handing a ball. So watching that from the sideline was a lot of fun because he was on my team.
Yeah, I bet. So personally, I remember my first few years on the PGA Tour and the excitement that came with it. 18 years is forever for an NFL player to play the game. In the latter years of your career, did you still have the love for the game, or did it become more of a job?
I still had the love for it. It just fell down on my list of loving things. You know what I'm saying? I know it sounds crazy because I took some flack towards the end of my career when someone asked me where is football? Like, how much do I love football? I'm like, well, I love football a lot, but I love Jesus Christ more. I love my wife more. I love my kids more. And so it's going to be about fourth on my list. And some days if I'm golfing well, it might be fifth, like kind of the joke,
Yeah.
Like, wait, in Pittsburgh, how is football not number one all the time? Like, because football's what I do. It's not who I am.
Yep.
Now, early in my career, before you have family, before my faith was where it is now, you only know one thing. You have tunnel vision. It's like I'm trying to win. Like this is all and that's what you're brought in. And when you're a single guy, it's a lot easier to be that way.
Oh yeah.
But as I got older, more mature, more understanding, I realized like this is it's what I do now. I'm going to give it everything I have. Don't get me wrong. When I step on the field, you're getting all of me. But I think it made it easier to come home after games to put in perspective a game, where it wasn't like if we lost, I just came home and sulked and like, let me just sit here and be mad and do this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, how can I do this better? Oh, hey, there's my kids. Oh, great. Like it put things into perspective. I got way less superstitious as my faith in my faith grew, because I realized that superstition has no place in the church, like in the faith thing, right? Because it doesn't matter. Like I used to be like, if I lost a game, it's like, oh, what did I do different this week? What's like what song did I listen to when I walked in, or did I get dressed a certain way? And I realized like that has nothing to do if I won or lost a game.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if I wear the same socks, the same underwear, get dressed the same way. Now, I think you can have routines. Like you can get into a routine. That's different than being superstitious, right? Like
Yeah.
a routine of, okay, when I get to the stadium or I get to the golf course, I'm going to go chip first or putt first or hit ball. Like whatever your routine is. Routine is different than superstition. I think I grew out of superstition as I grew more in my faith, realizing that like this game is not dictated by what song I walked into the stadium listening to. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
So I
yeah.
think it just my perspective and things changed as I got more mature in the game and in life and in my faith.
Yeah, God has a big plan for you, but it probably doesn't matter what kind of underwear you're wearing that day or what, how you put your
True.
socks on. So I can remember a handful of ridiculous golf shots that I happened to pull off in my life. And I was wondering if you had a handful of throws that you'll never forget. And, it's one of those things where the second the thing comes off your hand, you spun it the way you want, it's the right trajectory. You got any throws other than maybe the San Antonio Holmes, which I assume is probably right at the top? And by the way, I've been to one Super Bowl in my life, and it was that one. And I think I got spoiled because in my mind, it's the greatest Super Bowl of all time. And
That's big plays in it.
oh my God, it was unbelievable. But yeah, any throws stand out to you over the years?
It's funny because you say that, like, when the ball comes off your hand, it's perfect. That throw, when it came off my hand, I thought was intercepted. Like that ball came off my hand. But my mindset in that game, when you talk about the Super Bowl of San Antonio, like for good or for better or worse, I'd love to talk to us like sports psychologists about it. At that moment, during that play, I wasn't thinking about like a field goal ties the game. I that was not like when we got the ball on that drive, a field goal was not in my brain at all. Like it was like, no, I'm going to win the game. Like I'm going to score a touchdown. Like if I was smarter, I'd never make that throw, because that's a dumb, you just almost threw a pick
Yeah.
to lose the game, when all you need is a smart throw for a keep yourself in position to get a field goal to tie it. Like don't take that risk. But in my mind, it was like, no, I see it. I'm throwing it. I'm making it happen. Now it came off my hand. I'm like, oh, that might not, that might be a little scary. But
You
it
and
ended up
everybody
working
else
out.
thought the same thing.
But it ended up working out. Obviously the tackle, Jerome. Like I know it's not a throw, but that tackle will always stick out in my mind. I can replay that whole thing in my head, which I'm not good at remembering plays. Like some guys, like Charlie Batch, he's amazing to me. He'll be like, yeah, I remember in 92, we were playing the Bucks. It was the third quarter, a Barry Sanders. I'm like, what? Like, I don't even remember, but I can remember my last golf round. I don't know why I can do golf stuff,
Yep.
but I can't do football. But there was a pass. We were playing at home against Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. And it was one of those games where like everything was working, and it was actually one of the reasons I remember is because we had just taken the lead. I think it was like one of those like we had the ball, we scored. They had the ball, they scored. We had a score. Like it was like whoever has the ball last is going to win this game. We scored and took the lead, and Mike Tomlin onside kicked. Okay. And it's like, why is he onside kicking? He onside kicked so that he would have a shorter field so he could hurry up and score so that we would have time to get the ball back to go score again. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like,
Yeah.
that doesn't, like, you don't do that. But it was like he onside kicked with a lead. Sure enough, Green Bay goes down and scores. We get the ball back, and we're driving down the field. And I threw a pass to Mike Wallace, who was known for just like straight line speed. Mike was silly fast, and that was Mike's, his trick was he was silly fast. And I remember at the end of the game, there's last play of the game, 30-yard line or something like that, and I'm kind of like scrambling, like buying time, and I rolled left, and I threw a ball to the front pylon, like a 30. I mean, it's like a rope. It's not a Hail Mary, it's a rope. And Mike Wallace comes to the front and like 2 feet inbounds, catches the ball going out, like not his trick, right?
Yeah.
He makes the catch. We win the game. I think that was my first game over 500 yards because of that play. But I remember when that game, like it was just like, okay, like whoever has the ball last is going to win this game.
Yeah.
And I remember throwing that ball and just being like, it's going to happen. And sure enough, Mike made a great catch right there on the front pylon to win the game. And so that's another one that kind of sticks out is just a throw that was pretty special.
Yeah, I remember that game. I think he threw for like 525 or something ridiculous like that. It was just an insane game to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, the other Packers game. I thought you were talking about this one, but you were nice enough to get my wife and I tickets to the Packers night game.
Mm.
I can't remember. I think it was a Saturday night game. But anyway, Packers, I think you guys were tied. You guys were on like your own 20 or 25, and you hit Antonio going down the left side on a ball that I still don't know how he caught. And it was a perfect
Yeah.
throw, perfect catch. And then you guys got into range. I think it was field goal range, and then you won the game in the field goal at the last second. And I sent you a text that night, and I just said something to the effect of, hey, thanks so much again for the tickets. We had a blast. Must be nice to have Antonio to throw it to. And you wrote back, must be nice for him to have me throwing it to him. And I was like, well played, sir. Well played. Because you focused on the catch, but the pass couldn't have been any more perfect. But
Yeah, you got both guys got to be
exactly. So, well, January 27th, 2022 was a sad day for all of Steelers Nation when you decided to hang it up. Now, being a podcast with a mental health backbone to it, I'm curious how you were able to handle walking away from the game, and also if you had any identity issues with not being a football player anymore when you spent your whole life being that person. Now, me personally, I struggled. It wasn't right away when I walked away from golf, but obviously it caught up with me, and I went through my own depressions and anxiety, just not knowing who I was anymore. And just curious how you were able to handle retirement.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready to go. I think it probably gets harder for people that don't get to go out on their own terms, right? Like when it's like they're either cut, they're traded, they're whatever it may be. They name the sports, different things can happen. I knew that it was my last season. I got to play that last game at home at Heinz Field at the time against Cleveland on Monday night, where I knew it was my last home game going into it. Um, I think that makes it a lot easier. I think the other thing that made it a lot easier for me is the locker room had changed so much that last year that I played. Pouncey was gone, DeCastro was gone, Al, Ramon, like all my guys were gone. That I shared so many blood, sweat, and tears and games with. I think the next closest guy in age to me was like 14 years. So that it's so hard to connect. I was closer in age to more coaches than I was players.
Yeah.
And that's hard to connect with guys. So it was like, you know what, this is it for me. I know like my body's ready to be done. I'm gonna hang up on my own terms. It's my last go. I think that made it a lot easier. And then, because people say when football's over, what do you miss the most? You miss the locker room, right? You miss the guys, the camaraderie. Well, I didn't really have. I mean, I had it, but not the same way that I had it for 17 years. And so it was like, you know what, I'm good with this. And then I remember when I got done, people would always check me, hey, how you doing? Do you miss it? I don't miss, not 1 ounce of me misses it. Now I'll miss. I shouldn't say that. Fourth quarter, 2 minutes to go, lights are on. I'm like, oh, I'd love to have the ball right now. But my body felt better. Like I feel healthier than I've ever felt.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was time for me to focus more on being a dad and a husband. And I had done that, I think pretty well my last 5-6 years of playing. But I wanted to really, like, it's time for my kids. I was blessed. My kids got to see me, remember me playing, but I get to spend so much of their life being done. I'm gonna be done here. I'm gonna pick them up from school. I took them to school this morning. I packed their lunches this morning. I love doing that. I'm caddying for my one son. I'm helping my other one with basketball. Like getting to be a husband and a dad is what means the most to me right now. Um, I had my time. I had my thing with football, and so for me, I feel very fortunate that I didn't have that. I've not struggled with any of that identity stuff because 18 years with one team.
Yeah.
That's pretty special,
Yeah, for sure. Well, good, man. I'm glad retirement's treating you well and you're getting that handicap down. So it makes it easier on me the next time I see you. Future Birdies is based in Charleston, South Carolina, and is a developing golf platform focusing on player wellness and performance and is home to the #1 hat in golf. Visit futurebirdies.com to learn more and be sure to enter promo code WHEAT for 20% off your first order. That's promo code WHEAT for 20% off. Future Birdies, aim high, go low. And now back to Ben Roethlisberger. We'll let you out of here in just a couple seconds, but I gotta hit you with the 6-pack of questions first. Just 6 quick, fun hitting questions. You just killed my #1 with Jerome Bettis making the tackle because I I was at that game, and I just remember I had my phone up. I'm recording Jerome going in for the winning touchdown, and all of a sudden I look out of the top of the phone. I see the ball flying around, and I almost fell off the top row of the balcony, or I was in the front row of the balcony. I started leaning forward and had to catch myself. So we'll change number one to this. So if you had 3 bucket list golf courses to play, you got 3 more rounds of golf in your life. Where you want those 3 rounds to be?
Oh boy, I want to go back. I'd go back to St. Andrews, the old course. I've never done like Bandon.
Yeah,
or Bandon's amazing. And then I would probably do just for fun. I would do like Banff. I feel like that would be so. I feel like it's so pretty up there. I don't know.
Yes,
just to go be beautiful.
Yeah, there's a good. Where is the one in Nova Scotia? I can't think of the name of it now. Cabot up in Nova Scotia. Look that one up. It looks phenomenal. That's one of my bucket lists right now. Good answers though. So you obviously had many rivalry games over your career. Let's say you got 2 to 3 years left in your career. Is there a franchise that you'd rather retire than get traded to play for that team?
Would I rather retire than get traded to that team?
Yeah. So you either you roughly 2 to 3 years left in your football. You still feel like you can play quarterback out there, and the Steelers are going to trade you, or you can retire. Is there a team that you're like, yeah, if I get traded to the Chiefs, yeah, I can go to the Chiefs and play 2 or 3 years to finish my career, or hey, we traded you to the Ravens, which they'd never do, obviously.
Yeah, you know what? I did have a chance or a choice, not a chance, a choice to go somewhere else. And, we talked about it and prayed about it, and it just didn't feel right. Like, I'm one of the very few people that played, I am the longest tenured at one place. I know Brady played longer, but at one place, and I never went anywhere else. To be able to hang it up and say that I only put on the black and gold, to me, that was more special than going somewhere else. I mean, there's some great organizations, some great franchises that would remind me of Pittsburgh, like a Chicago that loves its town, Green Bay loves its team, things like that. But at the end of the day, I would rather hang it up in the black and gold.
Good answer. We're glad you did too. I think this is such a cool tradition in the NFL, but I want to know, what were the best gifts you ever got your offensive line guys?
Oh, you probably have to ask them, I guess. But some different things. I got them. A lot of times I went with the clothes, suits, overcoats. Kind of say, hey guys, pick what you want. One year, my suit guy Brent Lobb created sport jackets, and on the inside, when you open it up, they were all like different pictures of them playing football, like whether it's with me or so it was like really. Done watches before. One that I got a lot of feedback from was the big giant massage chairs.
Yep.
Like the Titan, whatever. I wish I knew the name of it, but like those big chairs that you could sit in, oversized. So that was a pretty good one.
Nice. I always love how quarterbacks do that, and take the guys out for dinners and just do all that stuff. Take care of the boys that are blocking for you. So,
yep.
Number 4, when you're home, do you ever just put on the old walking boot and walk around the house for old time's sake?
I've got a closet full of like crutches, casts, boots, all that wrist things. It's funny now because when something happens with my kid, I'm like, let me go see if any of this would fit you, wrist things, thumb things. So we've got a whole closet of it. So I'm reminded every once in a while when I peek in there for something.
Yep. I remember after Steeler games, I'd get these text messages. Hey, did you see Ben was in a walking boot? I'm like, dude, he'll be fine for next week. If it's a walking boot, he's good. If he's on crutches, we're a little worried. But if he's out there with the walking boot, he's good. Number 5, who is the most naturally gifted football player that you ever played with?
I would say either Troy or Heath Miller. Troy would practice in tennis shoes and not slip. I'm like, how is that possible? Just his balancing thing. And then I always say Heath Miller was a guy that if you were to play backyard football, you'd take every time. Not the fastest, not the quickest, not the strongest, but just got it. Understood how to play the game, understood how to get open, understood, looks and tendencies, and just was the ultimate teammate.
Yeah, no, good answer there. Speaking of Heath, I've got that picture from Nemacolin that I had you take, or that my wife took, and it's yourself, Heath Miller, myself, and Sam Saunders. And I mean, I'm just under 6'3", 245-ish, and I look like a 13-year-old kid in between you two. It is wild. Like, I was looking at your bio, and it says like 6'5", 240. I'm like, there isn't a chance. He's like 6'7", 280, and it's all muscle. I look like, I mean, I've showed that picture to people, and they're like, this can't be you. I'm like, that is me. That's me right in the middle. So, no, it wasn't heavy, believe me. All right, final question. I asked this of all the guests. If 42-year-old Ben Roethlisberger could go back and tell 22-year-old Ben the things that would allow him to live a successful life on the football field and, more importantly, off the field, what would he tell him?
Follow Jesus Christ closer.
Simple as that?
Simple as that. So much can be answered with that, with following that guy. All
righty. It's a good answer. Well, Ben, I appreciate you coming on, man. Obviously, you're a legend in Pittsburgh, and I enjoy being a friend to you. And I look forward to our next round of golf together. Take care of that wife and family, and enjoy retirement up there. Have a Permanis for me.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you, Weedy.
You got it, Ben. Take care of yourself, bud.
Yeah, bud.
Bye. All right, folks. That was the great Big Ben. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview as much as I did recording it. Ben's a good dude, man. He's come a long ways over the years, and it's fun to see how retirement looks on him right now. So he's obviously getting his family time in. He's caddying. He's coaching basketball. Just living his best life. So I'm happy for him. Yeah, and like I said at the beginning, I know I promised you guys Dr. Bob Rotella. He's coming up next. So we've already got it recorded, ready to roll. Phenomenal interview with Dr. Bob. Something that if you have children that are athletes, make sure you listen. If you know people that have children athletes, send it on to them. It is absolute gold from Dr. Bob. So anyway, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see y'all soon.